Hundreds of thousands signed petition against using public money for MPs' food after free school meals vote. Why should poor school children starve when these privately educated pompous MPs get free meals? They don't what it is like to starve. Very proud to say my MP voted for the meals. My favorite argument a Tory has put forward so far is there's always been hungry children. What utter smegheads. Usually footballers get a hounding from the press for being irresponsible, maybe a mucking/boozing/gambling/womanizing. Marcus Rashford is getting a telling off for saying children should be able to eat a decent meal in this country. If the government can't see that this decision represent very bad form, they're not only lack empathy but also political nous. Fuckers can claim 25 quid a day for scoff. Food vouchers for kids were around 15 quid a week. Typical do as I say not as I do pricks. Then we move on to their subsidized food and drink in the House of Commons itself. Instead of paying London prices they pay less than anywhere else in the country to get pissed at work. Literally drinking on the job would be a sackable offense for a lot of workers. We're not even talking like sandwiches and shit but full-on 3-course meals for less than 20 quid in London. Honestly beyond belief the audacity of these cunts to say kids should starve while they gorge themselves on steak and chips. Hell, I pay for my food and I serve the country in the forces and currently abroad. I didn't even realize we paid or subsidized MPs' food. That's completely wrong. Removed. I think it's time to eat your local MP/S. Funded meals. Expenses, imminent substantial pay rise. Who in the country supports these greedy fuckers doing this, apart from the MPs themselves? Something has to change, not to get political, but where is the link to this petition? What did anyone expect under a Tory government honestly? It's either this or you vote Labour, there is no middle ground. I'll be damned. https:// Imager.com/8zpxqcj. JPG, good. Take it all away from the MPs. They deserve nothing more than a paycheck like everyone else. If you feel you're more important than the people you represent then quit. I honestly think that the MPs who voted against FSM extension thought that it would fly under the radar, due to the amount of coverage of various regions going into Tier 3, plus the fact that those who voted to stop FSM have never gone without a day in their lives. They don't get that these kids are future taxpayers who will end up paying for this pandemic in years to come. My MP posted a video on October 20th all about how he wants to support families through this pandemic. Then one day later voted against extending FSM. The hypocrisy is utterly astounding. Those MPs can afford their own meals. For shame. The wealthy prove once again to be out of touch with the people they are supposed to represent and only when pushed will do so. And they fucking sleep in the Houses of Parliament, they actually take naps. Tories are absolutely disgusting. Labour aren't much better under Starmer, basically diet Tory with less balls to be evil. I'm thoroughly disillusioned with this cesspit of a world. We should never have multi-billionaires and starving kids in the same country. Take their bloody wealth by force. You should be taxed 99% on earnings over 5 million and face life in prison plus total asset seizure if you try to circumvent the system. I'm an accountant by trade BTW, I know how these bastards do it and my colleagues have been complicit. It's vile. Why are we standing by and allowing this corruption and evil to flourish? Time to take out the trash, UK. Fuck all conservatives. The Brits love feeding the pig's belly rather than their own kids at school. I'd also add the expenses system needs a massive overhaul. Literally the only things MPs should be allowed to claim on expenses the cost of where they live in London, while attending Parliament, travel to London and back. Costs of things like staff and constituents' office should be paid directly by the government or by the party, depending on whether it's for the constituency or the party. I need to pay for my lunch at work from my wages, so why should they get to claim it on expenses? Why isn't this petition on the proper government petition site, as that would force them to debate their freebies in Parliament? If there were really that many UK voters signing it then that would be awesome. Note, the free meals for children one is already and is over 800k. Title is confusing. We could also allow a limited import of chlorinated poultry just for MP consumption. Can't anyone in the world just do the right thing, even once? F***ck The current British government. Socialised healthcare is next to go in Britain. Who do you English think you are? Abusing poor public school children is our American tradition. Stay in your lane. It's beyond disgraceful and shows how out of touch they are with their own people. The world is going through a pandemic, jobs have been lost, people are really struggling, and yet life seems to go on as normal for the politicians. Why on earth they need subsidized meals in the House of Commons is lost on me, and they gave themselves a nice 3k pay raise to boot, not to mention the ridiculous amount of expenses they all claim. Fat cats just keep getting fatter. Angry face. Can I get a TLDR? Title is confusing and the website is hard to read. Unbelievable, good for people speaking out, sad group in government. England is, lil America's now. Murican here. WTF is an MP? It's completely insane that any country, including third world, would have hungry children in this day and age. Yes, some are B/C of corrupt governments, but we as a world are and should be better than that. Instead of invading a country for oil, invade them to feed their children. Here you have a first world country's government that's too greedy about their pocket to feed their own people. No matter the situation of a parent, a child is still the concern and responsibility of the village. Socialism for me, but not for the American here. I'm lost. What are MPs? Can relate on what it means to starve though. I remember as a kid going a whole day with one good meal because we couldn't really afford school vouchers until all school meals were made free. It backfired so well. Where do I sign? It's a fucking scandal that the MPs voted for this, just abhorrent. And yet they get free luxury meals at the Parliament canteen. Probably the cost of one meal there could easily feed at least 5 kids or more, kids that come from total poverty. An utter disgrace. All of a sudden the people of my constituency are outraged at their newly elected Tory MP. Fucking sheep, the lot of them. We deserve what we fucking get. Another disgusting part is that MPs are, or possibly have already, getting a pay rise cause £80,000 is hard to live on. The average mode salary in the UK is £15,000. Disgusting that they would essentially rather take that money that could be used to feed the nation's poor children and put it in their own pockets. But what would you expect from a Tory?